Hey, just a quick note for my food dehydrating family out there. I got this food dehydrator. I'll put a link for it down below. I think it cost me like $40 about 5 years ago. It's up to like $44. I got the cheapest one that I could get because I wasn't sure if I'd like drying my own food. And I dry meat and vegetables and fruit and stuff like that. I just got a roast from Aldi. I cut it up. Now, a lot of times people cut off the fat. I like the fat. When you cook it on the stovetop, the fat is gnarly. Most people don't like the fat because of the sensation in their mouth. They don't like the way it feels when they chew it. When you dehydrate it, it softens and becomes like butter. It's very savory and magnificent. So this recipe that I did, I took this big roast from Aldi, cut it up into cubes, which ended up being like loose chunks, did not cut any of the fat off. I took a can of, you could use fresh, but I took a can of pineapple chunks and poured the juice in the blender and threw in one habanero pepper. Bzzz, bzzz, and just liquefied everything. Then put the meat in it, mixed it up. And then the pineapple chunks I actually put in the food dehydrator along with the meat, and it came out unbelievable. So now, pop a chunk of meat with a little piece of pineapple, and it's unbelievable. No weird chemicals. I didn't even use salt on this at all. So you can add salt if you want, but it came out so good. It's not pretty, but I'll tell you what, like a small Ziploc bag of the dried meat and a bottle of water is a meal. Take that with you to work or where you're going. So what I got out of that was about a total of 6, like those half-size Ziploc bags? I got about 6 to 8 of those. So that will give me lunch for a week, or a meal for a week. I'll put a link for the dehydrator down below. I've got a bunch of recipes that I've experimented with in the past 5 years. They are the best beef jerky recipes that I experimented with. What I don't want to do is I don't want to like totally sodium out. I don't want to chemical out. I am into, like when I use salt, I use Redmond real salt, which is phenomenal. Coarse ground black pepper that I grind, and fresh herbs that I grow. But this one here just has the pineapple, which contains an enzyme which starts to break down the meat fibers and the tissue. So you're going to get like a really, really soft, tender, savory piece of dried beef. It's out of this world. Absolutely out of this world. And I let it sit probably a couple hours in a big pot, just to put it in a big pot just to mix it up. And then laid it out on the trays and started it up. And I kept the dehydrator going for about 12 hours. 12 hours. Now, if it's just meat with no fat, 8 hours. 8 hours. But what I've discovered is when I use pineapple, you know how like when you're eating regular beef jerky, sometimes it's like eating leather. You're like, "Ugh," And what I'm not doing is the ground beef and then extruding it out like through a giant syringe, that kind of thing. I literally just like the sliced beef and dry it. But when I use the fat, don't cut the fat off, and I use the pineapple juice as a tenderizer, it is unbelievable.